So I started surf life saving when I was about 5 years old. So the under sixes. So as soon as I could start, and I think my dad started as the age manager, so that was probably butted heads a little bit. But at the end of the day, he grew up in surf, and he's quite skilled in it himself. And I think it was the exact same thing there as learning to swim. It was just learning to be safe in the surf. I don't think there was ever a time where, my parents or anyone else was like, oh, don't go out. Like, I was more than capable of doing it, but I think I was just scared of, what could happen out there. And I think that's probably not the worst thing is, an 8 or 9-year-old being cautious about what you're doing. But as I grew up, and that certainly probably changed and went the other way. The beaches along the Central Coast, there's a few that can be dangerous at the best of times. Certainly I've had to pick up a few people around there. People just put up their hand. They know they're in a bad situation, but they're well aware they can swim, and you get to them, they're very thankful. But there's certainly the other case where people are quite panicked, and I think I've been lucky. Some people go out sometimes without a board or a flotation device, and I think that's where you get in a bit of trouble. People try to grab onto you and latch you, but I think I've always had a board or a tube, so it's been alright, and you just give it to them, and they jump on the board or, hold onto the tube and you pull them back in. I still remember the day I all of a sudden got this green jacket, and I was like, oh, that's different. And, I think that was, for me, just a moment of pride. I was like, oh my God, I've actually made an open team and actually made that jump from a junior team to an open team. And I'd actually broken my ankle earlier in the year. So I think for me, that was the even bigger thing, that the fact not only had I made the team, but I'd made it, kind of probably against that odd. And so, to get that jacket, I was really, happy and filled with pride. And I'd been putting a lot of work into my Ironman, and, I was really actually hoping to go to the Australian titles and do something good in that event. Unfortunately, I went down to the beach to do a training session. It was basically my last training session before we flew up to the Sunshine Coast. And I still remember I had 3 starts at the end, and I screwed one of the starts up. So I was like, oh, I'll just do one more, because I just wanted to get them right. And basically run in, and all of a sudden my ankle gave way, and I was like, oh, that doesn't feel quite right. And didn't actually hurt too much when I did it, but then I remember walking up the beach and just basically limping up the hill at Shelley, and I was like, oh, there's something wrong here. So it was certainly a tough time, but I think at the same time, I was 17, and it was one of those, I've done it, I can't do much about it now, so just move forward and do what I can. For me, just to be a part of that team, and especially with some of the heroes I had growing up in surf life saving, to be a member of that team with them was super exciting.